When we use Pythagoras' theorem, sometimes it's to prove that triangles are right-angled. Sometimes we know the triangles are right-angled and would like to find an unknown side length. That's what we have in these two questions. We know the two short sides, but we don't know the side opposite the hypotenuse, opposite the right angle. That side is the hypotenuse, labeled C. And they've asked us in these two questions to find that length. Anytime we're solving a problem that has a formula, the first thing we do is write the formula. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. First step, write formula. Now there are other ways to write Pythagoras' theorem. This one is always going to work for any Pythagoras question. Sometimes we can get too clever about choosing a different version of the formula, and it can confuse us. So, if ever in doubt about Pythagoras, come back to this way of writing the formula. Now, as we already know, our second step, anytime we've written a formula, is to substitute in the values we know. Label the sides. I can't stress how important it is when we're dealing with a triangle. Check, we know that's C. Let's label the short sides A and B. It doesn't matter which of the short sides you call A and which one you call B, but it's a good idea to get used to labeling them. We don't know C, so we can't substitute anything in for C squared. We know A, it's 5. So we put a 5 in where the A is and we keep our squared sign. We know B, it's 12. So I'll have to have 12 squared. After we've substituted our values, we simplify or solve. Now here we're just going to evaluate, but sometimes we might need to solve something. C squared equals, or 5 squared is 5 times 5, 25, plus 12 squared, which is 144. We add those together, and we get 169. Now 169 is C squared. That is, it's the area of the square that we'd get if we drew a square here. We don't want C squared, we want C. Now C squared says 169 is the number I got when I multiplied C times C. That is, it's an equation now, isn't it? C squared is 169, I just want C on its own. When I just want to find the pronumeral on its own, I have to do the opposite to whatever I want to get rid of. I want to get rid of this squared. So I have to do the opposite of squared to get rid of it, which is the square root. And so we're going to do the square root of both sides. Now the square root and the squared cancel out, and I'm left with just C. And C is then the square root of 169. We can use our calculator if we want, or I can say what number multiplies by itself to give me 169, and I discover it's 13. Look back at your triangle and check that you got the hypotenuse as the longest side. I've got 5 and 12, 13's longer, so it looks about right. Next question. What do we have to find? The hypotenuse. Label the other sides, write our formula. Substitute our values. And at this point, you don't actually need to work out what 7 squared and 9.5 squared are separately and write them in. You can just get your calculator and do 7 squared plus 9.5 squared, and we get 139.25. Now that's c squared. Always remember to get the square root to get to c. We definitely need our calculators for this one, so grab the calculator. The square root of 139.25 is 11.80. Our units were in centimeters. C is a length, so it's also in centimeters. And we're done. We've found the hypotenuse.